before starting the session, like it will be a really short session, more on like Q&A kind of thing. But I will like touch upon some good features of Postman, like more on the collaboration features, like collaboration in the sense like when you're working with a team or like internal collection or something like that. So basically, I will touching upon those points. So just want to like have a question like how many people have used the Postman. Just shoot a like message in the DM +1 or something like that, just to let to know, like just let me know like how many people have really like worked with the Postman or not. So looks like very less people have worked with the Postman.
Hey, Sarap, actually, I have used Postman once. So for the purpose of JSON and am I audible?
Yeah, sure, go ahead, go ahead.
For the purpose of MongoDB fetching and from the JSON, so I have used
Okay,
once.
okay, that sounds cool. Yeah. So yeah, so like let's deep dive into like let more people aware of that. So like first we like just get a overview of like this is a like Postman platform. Like okay, I will create a new workspace just with a new keyword, like nothing too fancy, like new keyword. Like when you open the Postman, like you can create a workspace. Workspaces are basically, you can understand like it's a separate environment which you create in the VS Code as well. Separate workspace for different projects. So it is similar to like VS Code workspaces. So like this I created one workspace with a new name. So this is a basic interface. Like this is a collection. So this is a point I want to emphasize on, like collection thing. Like let's just go back. So first I like I mentioned like the collection thing. So collection is a basically a set, like you can have a set of requests. Like if you like people does not know what is a request. So API in general, in an API you send a request and you receive a response. So it's an server and like server architecture model. So basically you have a like sender and a receiver, and in both way, like you send a request and you receive a response. So this way, this is how like API works. So like talking about the collection, just you can have a collection name. So we can have a collection name. Like I have a like API built with myself, so I will name the collection according to like my API. For example, I have a API called devtip. I just created a collection with that dev tip, name the collection. So basically, it's a kind of folder thing. You have a bunch of like requests, like in the request in the sense like you have a get request, you can have a post request, multiple of things in the collection itself. So like uh, the API which I'm going to use is like this is one of my APIs, which is an open source API. So I will use this like for a like test purposes and explaining things. So like yeah, so like I have some endpoints over here, like uh, API slash dev tip, which will like give you return you or like all the dev tips in the JSON format. So 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 you can just basically receive the like the data in the JSON format. So really interesting thing is here like you have like a get request, but at the same time you can add as many as requests you want. Like if you have a post request, you can have a collection of posts. So in this way, for example, you have a library of many like if you have built an API which have like get, post, put, delete, everything, you can literally have labeled them in the sequence manner. So when you are testing, you know which requests you are like sending to. Like for example, you don't need to come here and change every time, like to get to post to put. You can just have a separate request for each and every like each and every request. Like for example, if we do a post request over here, sorry, just copy the URL. So okay. So basically, like in the post request, like we need somebody. Just for example, we are sending some data and expecting for some response. So in the post request, okay, just let me add some body like raw data like JSON. And I think this API, sorry for the background noise. I think okay, just a minute. There's a background.
Pradumna will be joining us soon. Till till then, let's discuss about something like as
No,
we
no,
are
I am here. I am here.
okay.
Just there's a
Yeah,
truck passing nearby. That's why there's a huge background. So if you're comfortable, I can go ahead.
yeah. Go ahead. Okay, okay. Go ahead.
Okay, okay. So talking about the post request, yeah. So basically, you have a URL as we do in the
Oh,
GET request.
sorry, but you haven't shared the screen.
Sorry for that. So just want to clear up one thing. I'm today's session is not about the basic things like post, get, and something. I just want to share the ways you can structure your API collection or test your API. I'm just starting with very basic thing like creating collection, but I will show you some really cool things inside the post request, about the sample data. But I will show you just a minute for that. So basically, in the post request, so we have a URL and we have endpoint. So basically, in my API, in my case, I have a same endpoint. Like you can see in the post, I have the same endpoint. I didn't change. Like for example, people have different endpoints for different requests. But to keep it as simple as possible, I just have same endpoints, or you can say slug. There are different ways to say the endpoint in different words. So I have basically same endpoint, but in the payload we need somebody. So basically, my API support in JSON format, and the payload, like for example, the JSON data, which it is expects its message with a key message, and you can literally have a def tip. For example, drink a glass of water every day, something like that, every day. So when we send a post, you can see this is successful. But the thing I want to show is here, okay, just do it. Changes to get, yeah. So okay, this is post. Always there is some mess up. Okay, let me change to get. Okay, okay, that sounds cool. Now, okay, yeah. So the thing is there, what if we want to create 50 or 60 sample data. So just I want to have a question with the audience, what you do when you have some when you need some raw data or some sample data to test your API, what do you usually do? Anyone can open up mic or drop in the comments.
Uh, I basically do one make a JSON file and put the data in the key value pair format, or otherwise I can create a list and which is type of any, where I can put any kind of data string, int, float, etc.
So for example, if you have a post request you are sending from Postman, so how will you send a list of JSON data? Because you need to put in the message, and there's a message keyword, but you need to put the value into the message keyword. So how will you do that in this case?
Actually, I don't know much about it.
Okay, no worries. I just want to different people have different ways of doing that, but I am going to show you a really cool thing like Postman provide, which is a sample data thing. So what you can literally do is you're like have like this Postman provide this sample data thing, uh, like have this curly braces, and you can literally have random data. Like for example, you can if you, this is visible. Uh, okay, let's just me. You
Sorry
can
for interrupting. Actually, your deep dive into API, the web is on your Postman app is not shown.
didn't get your point.
I think you have actually shared the browser, not full.
Okay. Okay, this was my mistake. Now it's visible.
Yes, yes.
Literally, I spoke for 2 minutes for. Okay, no worries, no worries, no worries. Okay, so I think people did not see like how send the post request, correct? Okay, let me do that again. So let me delete that. Okay, so as we created like get requests, we can have a post request as well, like post request in the similar manner. So we have a post request. So you can see like the endpoints are same for get and post because I have structured this API in some in that way. Like if you see like my documentation over here, so we have the same endpoints for get as well as post. So like but if you know like if you are doing a post request, post means sending some data. So my API supports like data in JSON format. So and the key which is mandatory is the message key, because if you see in this like when we send a def tip and get all the def tip, there is a key called message, and this is ID which is a unique which is auto generated by the Mongo. So we don't need to worry about that, but we need this message key. So we can have a message key over here, like for just sake of testing purpose, just we need to do like a test thing. Like yeah, you can see over here like there's a auto generated ID and our data has been added to the API. So this is the question I asked just before, like what about like we need like 50 or 70 or 100 sample of data. So there are multiple ways of doing that, but Postman provides you a really cool thing which is called random data. You can literally have like curly braces written 2 times in closed, and just have put a dollar sign, and you can literally see you can have bunch of random data. For example, if you like give one to name first name, like first you can see first name. I'm just using a random thing in this API, but I will later delete it. You can see random first name. You can literally send. You can see it will generate random data. So in this way, you don't need to like worry about the sample data, copying and pasting stuff. And what about like if you have like 50 key, 70 key, 100 key, like if we have like message key, ID key, username, and tons of things. So this become more challenging to like bring on the sample data, but Postman provides this really cool thing, like you can have a random data. And then this way, like not about just only the first name. For example, if we want to have some sentences, I think we have some sentence. Okay, yes, we have not a street name, a sentence. Yep, you can see it can literally like generate random sentence as well. So in this way, like we can add bunch of random data. See, we can literally add it like 20 or 30 data within a minute. So this is really cool thing from the Postman side. So like talking about the collection, I think that's about it. And you can literally create more requests, like if you have get requests, like post requests, batch requests. Yeah, one thing I want to like touch upon more thing, like for example, if you are seeing here we are like reusing the same URL. So what we can do is here, like if you click on the collection, if you click on the variable, you can just literally add a variable. You can reuse this variable throughout your collection. You can add initial value and like current value, both same, no worries on that side. So what we can do over here is like come to here, and you can use, okay, URL. Nope, I think it should be URL. Nope. Okay, Okay, didn't save the. Okay, it didn't save the variable. Okay, I think it should work now. Yeah, you can see now this URL is working. Now you don't need to like paste the whole URL. You can literally remove the URL part. And I think we use the complete URL. So we can just remove this part, use the main URL, save it. And like when you are just sending the request, just use this URL and send the request. So it will work. Okay, that makes sense because we did not save, I guess, the URL as well. Okay, change the URL. Okay, okay, okay. Now it will work now. Yeah. So you can use like variables or random datas depending on your use case. So you can just paste the URL as well here. And like talking about like patch, we can use like patch thing as well. So like we have the same endpoint for uh, any. Please turn off your mic. Pancho, can you please turn off your? Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, sorry, this API dot dev tip. Yep. So like we can have patch requests as well. As you save it, it will like change over here as well. So like you can. So basically, in patch we generally modify like existing data, like the data which already exists in the API. So we can just have like patch, just write the patch. So in this way, okay, we does not support patch. Okay, we have, I think this does not, we does not support patch over here. Nope, it should support that. Okay, let me see that. Okay, do we have, okay, sorry, my mistake. We haven't put the ID, so just copy the ID, like just have a ID. So, okay, we need to change to patch. Okay, so yep, here we go. Like we literally changed to the patch, and we have a collection of this, and we can share with the people. So I think yeah, that's about the collection. If anyone has any question about the collection, sorry for the mess up. Like if anyone has any question, like shoot it right now. Okay, like looks like everyone is sleeping or something like that. If anyone has no question,
No, no, it is fine. No doubt.
okay, that sounds cool. Okay, so like we talk about the collection thing, like now come to the sample data. Oh, okay, we already touched on the sample data. Now this is a new feature of Postman, which is flows. Has anyone worked with the flows? Like if you have used the Postman, just give me a thumbs up or emoji or something like that. Use flows for a single time as well. Okay, nobody has worked with. So this is really cool feature of Postman because it let you collaborate with other people because sometimes like things happen like you build the API but the person does not know how it is working or how the data is being extracted from one request to another request or in the single request as well. For example, what data we need to actually because if you understand the API only does not come with the data which we are receiving over here. Like, sorry, like in the GET request, there are way more data than that. You can see over here headers. So there are a bunch of datas, but like which data is necessary and which data we need to filter out. This is a really good way to start with flows. I can literally show you one example. Like we can use our like collection request over here. Just okay, let me show you one thing. Okay, so this is a starting block where your like flows start. So you can have a request. For example, if you work with the API, you need some request to get data and send data. So here we are using like request we created just back, which is a get request we are using this collection request. You can see over here, we are using this request. So, okay, let me save this as well. Okay, so yeah, so we are using get request, and just to check the data, like what is a complete data we are getting. We will use filter and everything later on. Just just check the what data we are getting over here. Okay, you can see we are getting the similar kind of data over here as well, like which we get in the our request. Okay, this is not working very good. Yeah, so you can see in the body we are getting the headers and everything, but in the HTML thing, in the sorry, yeah.
Update though.
So here are the headers of that, and in the body, in the HTML, we are getting our data. Where's our data? Okay, we have status of 200. Okay, got the point why we are getting this kind of. Okay, that. Uh, okay, so yep, we can run for one more time. This time we can, yeah, you can see we have like three keys, like the keys with the data, and you can see our data which we similar kind of data we got in the get request. So this is kind of flow thing, like how your data is flowing and how your request is flowing throughout the like how you are getting the data from sending data. So basically, like we start with a sending request and we get the output, but we can do much more. Like for example, there are like bunch of data we does not need, like we don't need data like results or body or something like that, like even HTTPS. We can filter out those data. So the way to like filter out those data is really great way to do that. Like you can have select. There is a option called select. I see there's a font issue with here. Okay, just a second. Okay, okay, okay. We have, okay. So we can select the data. So for example, you can see it automatically show up which data are we are getting like from the get request. So you can just click on this, like we need body, then go inside the data, and we need all the def tips. So we can also give an output here, like what data we are getting over here. You can see the change over the time. You can see here we are getting each and every data, like from the header to like body, which the data we actually need, the JSON data. But here we extracted only the data which we need, like from the data key. So this is a usable data, but it is still not usable because our message, like this message is inside the, what to say, this is a list of JSON object, and like we need to extract every what to say of every key from like we have like 20 objects, so we have to go inside every object and extract the message key. So we can also do that. For example, if you know, like for working with the list, we can use loops. So yes, it supports loops as well. You can just loop through, use a for loop, and you can loop through like uh, data, and like you can select the data at the end. You can see we are looping through every like object, JSON object, and we are extracting the data. You can see over here we are extracting the message data, so we can also output as this as well. You can see.
Stephanie doesn't take.
Yeah, so this happened very fast. The reason is that like we are not saving the data, we are just running the for loop and printing the data. So we can add one more thing over here, like we can add delay. So just to read all the data, yep, we have delay as well. So we can just set it to 1000 millisecond just to print out the data. We can use the output. And now we can literally see the data one by one. Yep, we are seeing the data. Okay, so let me explain like once more. Like for example, here's the starting point when you trigger run. So it will start from here. So basically we have a request here. So it can be get, post, or anything. We are just using get request. So our get request look like this, like URL API slash dev tip. And what we are doing is here is like we are just checking for output here, but I can delete this because it does not make any sense. So what here we are doing is that like filtering out the data. So we are using dot notation here to filtering out the data, like going inside the body. Because you can see over here when you hover over here, you can see our data is inside body, data, and dev tips. So this is the like hierarchical system, like go inside the body, go inside the data, and dev tip. We can also literally like if we want to extract only a single data, like for example, to ID number 2, we can do that as well. But we will not do that, but because we need every data, so we will just remove that. So can add to 0, just need dev tip thing. So what we are doing after that is like we are getting a list of data over here. So we are just looping through the list, and we are just extracting the message part, and just we are after extracting part, we are adding a short delay to just read the data. This is how the flow is working. Yeah, that's about the flows. Yeah, that's about flows. Any feedback on this? Like, have you ever worked on this, or how is this useful to you? Personally, for like mapping that like API, how it is working, this is really helpful when you have a lot complexity on your API, and your API is doing bunch of things. For example, here is one more thing, like you can't just no for example, you just don't need to add only single extraction. You can have multiple extraction over here. Like for example, if you use the select here as well, and this is a very small thing I showed you. You can literally trigger multiple things with a certain parameters. For example, let me show you one more thing. Like after this, like you can read for status number. After that, you can just do some action. Like if you have some CI/CD or something like that, you can literally trigger with that. You can see, you can see over here, we are extracting status number as well. So here is one more thing, like failure thing. So you can also add like certain things with the failure, like every case is not a success case, but you can also define your failure thing as well. Yeah. So one thing I want to show you more, like just a minute, you can stop this. Okay, just stop. So like yep, this is the if statement. I will not deep dive into this. So like if you have a certain, like for example, you have set, like if you get a status 201, you can have certain things, and if you have like true, you can have certain depending on your condition. So this is the level of granules you can extract from this. So yeah, anyone has any question, you can shoot it in the chat or just open mic and speak.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. My name Karan Kumar, but my nickname is Somu. People call me Somu, but my question is like there is a kind of API structure list, GraphQL, RPC, gRPC, SOAP. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So what is my question is which one should I use for my project? Like I'm confused between them. Like I can't able to decide which API structure should I use for my projects.
So like this answer depends, like totally depends on your project structure, because
Uh,
like
no,
yeah,
oh,
go ahead.
1 minute. Someone said me like if you have a small project, then go with REST API. If you have a big
Yeah,
project with complex data, then go with GraphQL. And if you
yeah.
need fast performance in API, then go with RPC.
Yeah,
But
that's what.
RPC, yeah. But writing RPC is little bit harder than REST API and GraphQL. Is that true?
Yeah, first thing, like that is what literally I'm saying. Like it depends on your project. If you are like working with like MERN stack, so basically we work with JSON format. But like those are for basically for personal project. But if you are like moving towards more complex data, and more complex data are really slow if you work with the JSON, because JSON take, you can literally see over here. Like let me show you
Yeah.
really one interesting thing about yeah, you can see the time of the request is like 520 millisecond, which is about, you can understand the number of millisecond with the response time if you're using a touchscreen phone. So this can be really challenging. Yeah, so in the
Yeah,
JSON, yeah, in the JSON
I
we
can understand.
yeah, in JSON we face this. But like for most of the application, JSON is really good, because sometimes we render the data before the request. So this kind of application can be good. But if you're talking about the large scale data, gRPC and other things are GraphQL and are much better. And talking about hard and easy, I think it depends
Yeah.
on your learning curve. Like if everything is like complicated, but if you like want to learn about something, you go through that process. So I will not say one is easy or one is tough. Yeah,
Okay, it's depend on the person. If he is interested in RPC, then
absolutely.
RPC will be easy for that.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So my another question is about SOAP API. Like SOAP API is a kind of older APIs, a structure. So does industry use it or not? Like nowadays?
So I personally does not like. Yeah, so I was saying I personally does not very fond of SOAP API, because I have never seen anyone using. There might be people using, but I have never seen like my friends or anyone using that. So might be used in industry. I totally does not know about that. So I can pass over this question. Yeah.
Okay, so last question. Which one you most use?
So like I mostly like, I am not very hardcore API developer. I'm more on the CLI developer. So I basically work with REST API, nothing more than that, because it makes my job done, because I don't work with front end. So these problem
Oh,
like gRPC thing and like you can GraphQL thing are more like oriented when you're working with a front end and you have a bunch of data. But I don't work front end, so I don't need to worry about like those things. I just use basic like CRUD API or REST API. That's
Home
it.
page fixes nav bar
okay.
fonts.
Thank you for that answer. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
Concern pages.
We have one question in the, okay, how do you approach designing the Postman flow for testing a new API endpoint? Also, what is the perspective of flows? So, can you just turn on your mic, Shivam, and like give me some more context about like your problem? Like,
Yeah, hi Pradyum. So,
yeah, hello.
yeah, so designing a Postman flow, I want to ask, like, the, whenever like I use the Postman flow some few times, but as you have just designed the flow of the endpoint, it seems
Mm-hmm.
sometimes a bit difficult with the larger data and with more the endpoint. So, how do you actually design it when you have got the new endpoint of the API?
So, like, if you're talking about the flows, these are
Yeah.
basically for the complex data. It is not for this kind of data, which I literally did that because I can't show you complex data, but those are for complex. Yeah, I can. The thing I can assure you, like, you are getting some issue because Postman flow is still in beta, so many features are still not rolled. Like, for if you work with a complex hierarchical data, this is not really good right now. But the thing is, like, if you see the display thing, this literally added like 15 or 20 days back. You have to output the data in some way. So I can understand that, like, if you are trying to structure the complex data right now, it can be challenging little, because we have some short of options. Like, if you like talk about the conditional thing, every condition is not very good. Like, for example, recently I worked with the error code, so like flows does not support that.
Expand.
So these are problems right now with the flows, but I can assure you, like, if you like are active on the Postman Discord server, they are literally working on adding some more for the complex data. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's actually
So
what I
this is
was.
Yeah, I can agree with you. Like currently, like it become too messy because you have to literally do like 4 or 5 steps extra for a simple kind of extraction. But this thing will get better. Like from the for the display thing, I know like 2 months back when you want to display some data, you have to go extra 2 steps to print out data. But this
Yeah.
things become better.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Anyone has any other question?
Uh,
Any question? Like
Padmanu,
yeah,
uh,
yeah, go ahead.
yes, actually, you are fetching all the data through Postman via URL. So you have hosted whatever GitHub you have shown here. You have hosted to somewhere else, or you are in localhost. Everything.
Okay, so yeah, just a minute. So yeah, you're talking about this API, like this open source API thing.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, so you can't like host and doc like this is custom URL. You can't host with the custom URL. You can see we have a domain called Versal.app. So it is hosted on Versal. So yeah, so literally like a this is a very basic API. Like sorry for changing. So this is very basic API. Like have a simple model and uh, posted on the Vercel and the I guess Mongo Atlas is connected. Yeah, Mongo Atlas is connected in this. So nothing too fancy. Yeah, I can run this on like Docker Compose as well. I personally like, for example, if I was doing like session on Docker, I was running in this thing in Docker. You can see I have a Docker Compose YAML. So, but this is hosted on Vercel. Yeah.
Gap 3.
Yes, understood. Thank you.
Yeah. Any more question? Like anything related to this or anything? Yeah. Okay. Like let me just. This is the last part. I would say. Just want to apologize for the mess up because I have an eye issue, like some allergic issue. Like that's why I think I did not prepare very well like 2 days back. So yeah, apologies for that. So yeah, just going for mock server thing. So this is really like weird kind of functionality in the Postman. So it might be good for someone, might not be good for someone. So for example, like if you have some app, like but you don't want to create a API from scratch, that might be a possibility. But you want to test the API. How will you do that? So this is really cool thing. You can literally create a mock server. For example, you can add a URL. For example, I can just add my last name, Saraf, and you can even like tell the response code like created. Okay, we don't like this is wrong. We need to do a post request. Okay, okay, we'll get with the go with the get. Okay, so and you can also define the response body. Let me show you why it is really good. Yep, just want to test. Yep. Okay, there is a spelling error. Okay, and we can have one more request like API slash Saraf, let's say RAF, and we can copy the same message with a test two. Okay, that's it. And when you like create a mock server, like we can also set the environment variable. We will not do that. We just hit the create server thing. So you can literally see we have a URL now. So what you can do, like when you have a application, like if you are working with a Node application, but not okay. Forget about like Node application. Talk about the React application. If you're talking about the React application and you are using some, you want to extract some data from an API, but there might be possibility you want some initial data to test it because you can't create API from scratch. But in this way, you can literally create a mock API just to test the data. You can see it will give an error for sure, give an error because I did not use the endpoint. If I use the endpoint, you can see we are getting the data. So in this way, you can use this URL to test for example, use the API, not the test, use the API. And when you're comfortable with the API, comfortable with the using of the API and using the like the keys in your application. For example, you're using the API for render some data, user data. You can literally create a mock API, and you're comfortable with the working mechanism of your front end. You can then you can create your API from scratch. But in this way, you can literally like test your APIs, test your application, front end application, or any application which use the API data. And you can use this, build your own keys and just use the data in your application. This is really cool way to have some sample data. Sample API, I would say it's not only a sample data. So you can have a sample API for testing. And when you are comfortable with the API or anything, you can literally implement whole fresh API with that. And the reason to do this as well, for example, if you're using some API which have API keys and have some restriction over the limit of you're using the API, for example, if you're using some weather API, no, weather has no restriction. For example, if you are using some financial API which have restriction over 200 requests and 300 requests, and for example, if you're testing for 50, 70, 80 or 100 times, so you can hit the limit. But in this way, you can, at this very start, you can create a mock server, and it will like take you some time to create that, and you can literally use lifetime just testing your application with the mock URL. Like mock URL will work as a API URL. This URL will like you can replace with your, for example, if you use a financial API URL, you can replace this URL with that. So in this way, you can test your API. And the other thing is that this also does not require internet connection as well when you are created the API. So this is also really good for that. Yeah. So this is really cool thing, like create a mock server, like dummy server, and literally hosted a dummy API to work with your application. Yeah. If you have any questions, like feel free to shoot.
Am I audible? Hello?
Yes, you're
Can you hear
audible.
me? Hi. Okay, finally. Actually, I've kept on trying.
I didn't get your voice. Yeah.
Oh, can you hear me now? Pradyuman? Hello, am I audible to you? Sir,
Yes,
well,
you're audible.
No, I was saying, I guess I missed your like question or something like that.
no, question not like I've started off speaking now on only. So I'm confirming this to you. If you're able to listen me or not. Can you hear me? So Susmita, can you hear me or not?
Yes, we can
All
hear
right.
you. Go ahead with your question.
All right. The question of mine
No, I
was
am
like,
unable to hear that if someone is speaking.
oh, why is that? So I'm not getting it.
Please rejoin if you are speaking, and please, if you have some question, drop in the comments. I am unable to hear that if you are
Okay,
speaking.
I'm sharing this question to Susmita if she can hear me, and then she'll let you know what exactly the question I'm asking. Right? Would that work for you? Okay, Susmita, the question of mine is, please pass this on to Pradyuman, that he showed us that how do we test our APIs. But my question is, how do we handle the APIs using the Postman? Right. So if you can simply just pass it on to him, and he can address this.
Uh, your question is
Like,
how one can use
how do we handle?
Postman.
No. How do we handle the errors in the Postman? Like, can you show
Okay.
us? Can you just simply,
Yeah,
take us through an instance by handling an error? That would be like beneficial for me.
are you able to hear my voice or not?
I
Yes,
can hear,
yes.
but okay,
So yeah,
so please pass this
like
question on to
we
him.
literally like shared the Postman, how to use Postman.
No, the question is not that. Like, question is like, how do we handle the errors in the Postman? Sushmita, please pass this on to him,
Pradyumna,
please.
hey Pradyumna, am I audible to you?
Yeah. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I'm able to hear you. Shailesh
Yeah.
is asking you that how one can handle the errors in Postman.
So what kind of errors you are like talking about? Like
Like
from the
he said that when we try to call API, we get different errors. Like we might get different errors. So how one handles errors in Postman? So
Okay,
that's
okay. So like talking about the errors, so Postman is a platform like to like just to communicate with the API. So like I will share you like intentionally doing some error. Like it literally depends on the people like who have created the API. Like handling the error is happen on two ends, like the person who has created the API. Second, the API, the where you are consuming the API, like for in the front end application or okay, okay. So where you are consuming a like application. If you know JavaScript, you use like try catch or use like uh, promises to handle that. So for example, like okay, we will do an intentional error, like we have a API slash dev tip, but we will intentionally do dev tips. So you can see uh, uh, here we are getting like 404 and status 404. This is all about the Postman, like your request is either successful or you get an error, but this error is not generated by the Postman. This is error written by me because I have written the API. So handling the error happens on the application end, does not happen on the Postman end. So yeah, but if you talk about the flows, like yes, you can do a thing in the flows. For example, like I will do it this kind of thing. Okay, this is yeah. I really want to show this, but I skipped that. But I will show this thing. So okay, let me. So what about the failure? Like we can just get some failure as well. So uh, we can like show display, yep, and we will do some error as well. Get output here as well. Okay, nope, nope. Okay, output. Okay, so if you see over here, like we have intentionally do a error over here. Okay, save change. Okay. So yeah, so we have intentionally do the error over there, and if we like proceed with the request, you can see we are getting the error. So if you are talking about the flow, yes, we can handle this error in this way, and like we did in this in the uh, what to say in the success case, we can also use this in the like extracting the exact problem. For example, if you see in the header, no, sorry, in the not the header, in the HTTPS, we getting the status. Like you can literally extract the status. With the status, you can know what is your error. And I guess we have some like data in error as well. Okay, we does not set any data. So yep, you can also output this as well. So there you go. So yep, you are getting 404 error. So that means you does not have any endpoint. So in this way, you can uh, use the flows to like perform your like success and error case. And just show let me show you one more thing. Like for example, if we correct the data, you can see the block with the error will not run because we no more have the error. You can see over here. Okay, data is yeah, you can see this block does not run because we are not getting the failure case. Yep. Hope that answers your question. So basically, like you handle error on your end, like on the application, or if you're writing your own APIs, you have to handle that error, like user end error, or for example, the response error, like when you are getting a response, so you have to handle that error. Because Postman is just a platform to build, not sorry, build, so just to test and bundle up the API. Yes, you can literally create the APIs as well, but it basically for testing purposes. Yep. Do you have any more questions? Okay. Any more questions?
Pradmanu, I have one question. I have when I was developing Android apps, I have seen there there is using some kind of headers and its metadata. So I don't understand the headers and purpose. Can you please explain what
No,
is header
no,
and its
y-
uses?
your voice is not very clear. Can you please repeat that?
Now it is audible.
Yeah. It is audible. It might be issue from my end. Yeah, you can repeat the question.
Actually, when I developing some apps, I have seen that there is some official docs and all the stuff. So there is always use headers and metadata. So can you please explain what is headers and its uses
Uh,
purpose?
okay, that is really good question because we are literally deep diving into like platform, but I will talk about that. So like if you work with the APIs, like in the APIs with the API keys. So like when you send the API keys, it does not. If you work with the API keys, you do not send the API key in the body. Correct?
I didn't get it. Yes, please
Okay.
go ahead.
No. I was saying that if you work with, if you have you ever worked with any API which required API keys?
I don't know about what is API keys.
Okay, so let me explain that. So some APIs have restriction in the sense like I can show you. Okay, I will skip that because it will be a long process to extract the API keys. So some API need API keys to access them. The reason to do that is to restrict the number of requests. For example, if you use like GitHub API, you need to use personal access token. So what happened is that like let me share a screen, just give you a little brief about that, what happens when you like give the API keys. So so in this, okay, yep, can you see my screen?
Yes, it is fine.
Okay, cool. So you can see like in the okay, we need go to the post request. Okay, you can see we are just sending the message. That is fine. But what if like this API restrict, like for example, we use, as I mentioned, we use API key for authorization and for limiting the request. So we can't send like API keys in the body itself. So this is where headers come. So in the headers, like for example, this is not correct. Like I just showing you a sample data. Like okay, you can see X API key, and you can literally send it. So what will happen? Like when you send it, okay, you can see, okay, key API keys. Okay. This is the header of. Okay, got this. Why we this does not contain any header of like the the API key is sent because we are seeing the header of the response. Uh, you can see the Vercel ID and tons of things. So the reason is to do that, like when you send a request, like so what kind of request it is. Like for example, it is JSON or it is JSON, or it can be XML, or it can be text data. So this is where the metadata comes in. Like you send metadata in the header. So like header. I would say like header is like a process before a body. The reason to do the reason this happens because header contain your material, the how your API is formed. Like for example, like literally every API does not work with JSON. It can be HTML, it can be XML. So headers define your structure of API, and as I mentioned, authorization of the API. So if you go on Chrome, like you can also see one really interesting thing over here. Uh, okay, you can network over here. If you do a refresh, we can like get the data. Okay, yep, this is the pull up thing. You can see over header over here. You can see. Can you see that this thing?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So this is the format of data. You can see over here we have sended the text data. Okay, let me choose a JS file. Okay, just go to the JS. Hmm. Okay. Yep. You can see over here JavaScript thing.
Yes, yes.
Yes. So this is the kind of data header contains. Like what kind? Like it gives us what to say. Metadata. What is a metadata? Data about the data. So it gives the uh, like it seems very simple. Like we hit a API request, but in the backend it works. It happens tons of things. Like it is filtering out the data. It is understanding what kind of data it is. So this is where header came into play. Like it is the payload which we are sending over here is like JavaScript, and this is extreme which depends like it on timing and several things. And this is a cache control. This is a really one more thing. If you like work with a JavaScript application, there's a concept in that you can cache some data literally in the, like if you heard about cookies, have you ever heard of cookies in the browser?
Yes, yes.
This is also done by the header itself. You send some data and you send via headers, and the browser saves those cookies. That's why if you see like a website, if you have you ever wondered when you like, go on github.com or twitter.com, once you log in and once you revisit the website, you don't need to log in it again. It's already logged. So this is done by the headers. Headers add a cookie to your website. What the cookie contain is like your login. There's a expiry login. What to say? I am totally forgetting about the name. It like session token. We also say session token, something like that. So it contains a session token with your credentials in a different way. So every time like you open your twitter.com, it checks for like that session token, and it will open at the website. So headers contain like the metadata and every like API data and everything. Like literally, you can think like the data which helps the server or the requester understand what kind of data is coming, or what is authorization, what is it is authorized or not, or what is the limit, and there are tons of things in that. Yeah.
Yes, got it. Thank you.
Anyone would like to ask some more questions? Like it's 8 p.m. already. Yeah. There's
Hello
only two
everyone.
cases. Like yeah. Okay.
Uh,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
if any one of you have any questions, kindly either drop in the chat or turn on your mic and to just ask it. And don't feel procrastinate like I will do it later. There's public speaking thing going on. I can't do this. No issue. Just come up. We are here for you.
Yeah, yeah, literally ask any question. Don't need to hesitate about anything. Yeah.
Actually, may I ask about any open source or GitHub maintainer purpose? May I?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Just go ahead. Just go ahead.
Actually, I've
Just,
seen.
just a minute. Mukesh, can you please turn off your mic? Yep. Go ahead.
Actually, I have seen that you work for community and area, and so you do kind of you are maintainer purpose, right? GitHub,
Yeah, yeah, I do maintain.
some
I don't
kind.
work for, no, no, I don't work for ADF. I'm just a member of that, active member of that, nothing else than that.
Okay. So I suppose there is a big community, means a number of, and their experience is very high level. So any tips you will give so that I can be part of their community?
So yeah, this questions comes a lot, like how I get involved. So thing is that like there are a bunch of ways to get involved, and the one of the best ways is that help out the people in the chat and the different channels. This is a good way to create your credibility and you show your like willingness to the community. So like for example, I'm not saying to like jump on problem related to NASA. No, just even a person having a simple problem with the even the documentation, or like some people regularly ask how to get started with open source, so you literally like just guide them to towards the resources, or you note the answer, you answer them. So in this way you can involve with the chat and have connection with more people. And like talking about the more, like how you get involved more, so like every community have like calls, or they have GitHub organization, or they have like bunch of things happening. You can have like get involved in that. So like once you started getting involved, like more people started to started to like get know you about you. And this is how like you get involved more. Like when you people started knowing you, like people kind of started pinging you about, like started a conversation with you. So I would say this is a slow process, but you start with like helping people or answering the question, and you can this way you can like have a position in the community, or people knows me. So yeah, this is always tricky with the big communities, but as a there is a big community, there is always room for uh, what to say, uh,
Ah,
like more room for the helping out the people, I would say. And in the small communities there is a less conversation. So it's for me it's become really hard, like in the small communities. But in the big communities it becomes way much easier to talk with the people, because there are lots of question and lots of perspective. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, there's a question in general chat, like someone pinged me, let me check that. Okay, where is a general chat? Oh, okay. This Postman help us to develop the API, or it is for the API testing? Okay, so here is a good question. Like mm, from analog, yeah. So the question is like, is API like Postman is for uh, like for testing or like creating APIs? So yes, Postman is for both. Like you can test as well as create API. I can I'll show you something. Is my screen visible? Hello. Is my
Yes,
screen
it
visible?
is.
yes, it's
Yes,
visible.
yes, it's visible.
Okay. So you can see over here that like this was a collection, and this is a API section. Like you can literally create an API. So this is really good. Like you can connect with your like collection, like the GitHub account, and I will not do this process. This is a really long process.
Uh,
You can,
okay,
yeah.
but I have a question. If I create APIs using Postman, is that good for production?
Yes, absolutely. Everyone use so Postman is like I think you are getting like understanding in the wrong way. So Postman is not like for writing a JavaScript code. So it
Yeah.
give you yeah. So it give you structure to build that, but you have to write the JavaScript code for that. So
Oh,
it so like for
okay.
example yeah. So for example, if you have like a what is a templated JavaScript code, you can build those on Postman. And I think it has improved a lot. You can it also generates JavaScript snippets for you as well. You can use that as well. And once you like familiar with the Postman, and you can use the mock server to test those APIs which is built by Postman. And when you are like done with everything, you can host your APIs anywhere, because you cannot host APIs from the Postman itself. So this is way how it works. Like have a Postman gives you template to do that in a structured way and a good practices. And uh, and this is really good thing. Like not only about the JavaScript thing, it also supports the YAML thing as well. So yeah, there are a bunch of ways to do that.
Okay. I actually never used Postman, so I have no idea about it. I just thought he will create a full-fledged API for us.
Yeah, yeah. No, you can use that, but work like manually building it is much more convenient. Like rather using the Postman. Yeah,
Yeah. Thank you for that.
yeah. Anyone has any more question? Anyway, great to see you all, and uh, sorry for a little bit mess up. Sorry to the Sushmita as well. So it's kind of little bit messy over the session. Yeah, so apologies for that.
It's okay. It happens with every one of us while taking
No,
sessions. Uh,
the thing is, Yeah, good. No, I was just saying that the thing happened is that like uh, I was literally canceling the session today. Like the reason that I have a eye allergy like 2 days back, so I did not prepare anything for the session. Just write 4 pointers and just come on the session. Yeah.
Okay, it's okay. No issue. We will be having more sessions with you in the near future. And if anyone have any questions, you can feel free to drop in the general channel. Pradumna is here in our server, or there are separate channels for each like tech topics, like AI, design, development, cloud AI, ML, cybersec, DevRel. Feel free to put resources there, and also if you have any further questions, like interact with each other, discuss in these channels of the server. It's all is there for only you all, and and I hope by now you have got a clarity of what is a little bit about API and how one can use Postman.
So yeah,
So
just
yeah.
just one more thing before ending the session. I will literally show one more thing. Like it is good for like beginners. Like let me show you one more thing. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay,
Yes, yes.
so yeah, so when you click on the collection, you click over here and you click over view documentation. So you can see literally the documentation is ready. So this is really cool way to like share documentation with people. So like when you have APIs, you can just and the cherry on the top is that like you can add your like what to say explanation, GIF, and everything, literally everything. So you can see get request, post request, body. You can because we have added in the body, that's why it is showing that as you add the data, it will started showing up here automatically. So in the uh, patch as well. So this is really good documentation. Like if you want to understand how the API is working, and if you want to remember what kind of data you want to send. Like for example, I haven't written anywhere which kind of key I want to send. So with this, you can literally know that I have to send a message key with some data. So yeah, so no, yep, we can change over here. Yeah, so we can change in there that it will catch up in the documentation as well. So let me show you. Yeah, so this is how you like create documentation as well. So you can add multiple requests and it will auto catch up. And one more thing, like there is a changelog thing. As you we haven't done much more, like if you have some change in your APIs, like in URL or something like that, you can literally see over here what things have changed over the time. So changelog is a kind of that thing. So this is really good thing. Like if you are starting with the APIs and working with the team, so you have a good documentation to start upon. Like if someone is coming, does not know like what requests we have and what data we need. Yeah, that's it. I think my that's the end of the session. And yeah, thank you for joining everyone. Yeah.
A lot of thanks, Pradman.
Thank you everyone for joining. Recording will be uploaded on YouTube. Link will be provided soon. It was a great session, Pradumna.